The conference room fell silent as I placed my handcrafted prototype on the mahogany table. My hands trembled slightly, not from nervousness, but from pure rage. Across from me sat my mother, her face a carefully composed mask of professionalism, and beside her, my younger sister Vanessa, wearing MY designs, representing MY brand, pitching MY idea to the executives of Meridian Retail Group. As you can see, gentlemen, Stellaris combines functionality with elegant, customizable design, my sister explained, using the exact words I had practiced in front of my bathroom mirror just 3 months ago. Each piece transforms from day to nightwear with interchangeable elements. I hadn't planned on crashing this meeting. I'd only found out about it an hour ago when my former college roommate who worked at Meridian texted me, *, isn't this your concept? There's a Forrester pitching it right now, *. My name is Emma Forrester, 29 years old, living in Philadelphia, and until this moment, I believed that family was the one place where you could be vulnerable, where sharing your dreams wouldn't end with them being stolen right out from under you. Excuse me, I said, my voice steadier than I expected. I'm Emma Forrester, the actual creator and designer of everything you're seeing today. The 3 men in tailored suits looked between us, confusion evident. The oldest of them, silver-haired with sharp eyes, leaned forward. Miss Forrester, the elder Miss Forrester, he clarified, looking at my mother, perhaps you could explain what's happening here? My mother cleared her throat. Emma, this is highly inappropriate. Vanessa has been developing Stellaris for months now. With your financial backing and my designs, I countered. I opened my portfolio and spread the original sketches across the table, dated and notarized from 6 months earlier. The same designs I showed you both over dinner when I asked for a small loan to get started. The smallest seed of doubt appeared in the executive's expressions. My sister's smile faltered. Mom thought I could execute it better, Vanessa said quietly. You're always starting things and never finishing them, Emma. The words stung precisely because they targeted my deepest insecurity. I had jumped between interests in my early 20s, fashion design, digital marketing, app development, building skills, but never committing to one path. But Stellaris was different. It combined everything I'd learned into something uniquely mine. This meeting is over, the silver-haired executive announced, gathering his papers. We don't get involved in family disputes. He handed me his card. When you've sorted this out, give me a call. As the executives filed out, my mother stood, smoothing her perfectly pressed pantsuit. Emma, you're making a scene. Vanessa has the business experience, the connections. You have creativity. This way Stellaris stays in the family. It was never yours to give away, I replied, gathering my designs. My sister at least had the decency to look uncomfortable. We can work together, Em. You can be our designer. I stared at them both, these 2 women who looked so much like me yet suddenly felt like strangers. No, we can't, I said finally. But thank you. For what? My mother asked, confused. I placed the last sketch in my portfolio and snapped it shut. For showing me exactly who you think I am. And who I need to become. 3 days after the Meridian disaster, I sat cross-legged on my apartment floor surrounded by empty takeout containers and a chaotic spread of sketches, fabric swatches, and business plan drafts. My roommate Zoe stepped carefully through the creative carnage, setting down a fresh cup of coffee. You know, for someone who just had her dreams crushed, you're surprisingly productive, she observed. I looked up from my laptop where I was teaching myself the basics of trademark law. They didn't crush my dream. They just took the first version of it. My phone buzzed again, the 14th call from my mother in 3 days. I silenced it without looking. Zoe sat down beside me. Em, you need to talk to them eventually. No, I need to figure out who registered the Stellaris name, I said, scrolling through search results. Apparently, they haven't filed for a trademark yet. And that means? It means I need a new name anyway. I pulled up a new document. And a better concept. Something they wouldn't expect from me. The truth was, Stellaris had been conceptually solid but safe, convertible accessories with interchangeable elements. My mother and sister were executing exactly what I'd planned. Targeting upper-middle-class professional women with nice but predictable designs. They were playing it safe, just as I always had. My phone lit up with a text from my sister. *, Mom's upset. We should talk. We're willing to make you lead designer with 10% equity. *. I showed Zoe the message. That's something she offered. It's insulting, I replied. But more importantly, it's revealing. They don't think I can do this myself. I flipped to a fresh page in my sketchbook and started drawing with newfound clarity. If they thought I was just a creative who couldn't execute, I'd show them execution. If they thought my ideas were worth stealing but not worth backing, I'd prove the value in dollars and cents. What are you planning? Zoe asked, watching me sketch with an intensity she hadn't seen before. I'm going to build something they could never imagine I'm capable of, I said. Starting with a name they'd never think to trademark. I wrote in bold letters across the top of the page, Phoenix Theorem. That's cryptic, Zoe noted. I smiled for the first time in days. Exactly. Mom and Vanessa are expecting me to make pretty accessories. They're expecting a conventional fashion brand with a conventional name. And Phoenix Theorem is a brand built on transformation, not just of the products but of the wearer, I explained, sketching rapidly. Accessories with hidden tech components, pieces that change not just appearance but functionality. I pulled up LinkedIn and started searching. But first, I need people who know what I don't. Like money people? Zoe asked. Eventually. But first, I need a materials engineer and someone who understands electronics miniaturization. I scribbled more notes. And I need to find someone who knows intellectual property law who doesn't charge $500 an hour. My phone buzzed with another text from my mother. Asterisk, this silent treatment is childish, Emma. We're trying to be reasonable. Asterisk. I put the phone face down. They think because I've bounced around, because I've explored different fields instead of focusing on one career path, that I'm scattered. Unfocused. Unreliable. I stuck a post-it note on my laptop screen with 3 words, prove them wrong. But Zoe said gently, you don't have Vanessa's MBA or your mom's connections in retail. You don't have their startup capital. No, I agreed, closing my laptop. But I have something they don't. What's that? I stood up, surveying the creative chaos around me. I have nothing to lose. And everything to prove. You want to put what in a bracelet? Marcus Chin, the materials engineer I'd managed to convince to meet me at a coffee shop, looked skeptical. A flexible, programmable LED array with touch response capability, I repeated, sliding my rough sketches across the table. Think mood ring, but high-tech and actually functional. Marcus studied the designs. He was exactly what I needed, brilliant. Recently laid off from a tech firm that had moved operations overseas and just bored enough to be intrigued by my pitch. The power requirements alone would make this bulky, he said. That's why I need you, I replied. You worked on energy-efficient flexible displays at Neocom. If we scaled that down. How do you know about my work at Neocom? He asked, suddenly suspicious. I slid a printed copy of his research paper across the table. Because while my sister was getting her MBA, I was reading material science journals for fun. That earned a surprised laugh. Okay, let's say it's theoretically possible. What's your actual business model here? Because prototyping alone will cost $20,000 minimum, I know. I pulled out a more detailed business plan. I've got $8,000 saved. I'm selling my car for another $5,000. I need angel investment for the rest, but I can't attract that without a working prototype. Catch 22, Marcus noted. Which is why I'm offering you 15% equity instead of a salary for the development phase. Marcus leaned back, studying me. You're either incredibly naive or surprisingly strategic. 6 months ago, it might have been the former, I admitted. Now it's definitely the latter. My phone buzzed. A text from my former college professor. Asterisk, meeting set with Lena Torres. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. Don't be late, she doesn't give second chances. Asterisk. I looked back at Marcus. I may have a lead on our electronics person. Are you in or out? He tapped my sketches thoughtfully. You know your sister and mother could easily outspend whatever you cobble together? They could, I agreed. But they won't. Why not? Because they don't know what I'm building, I explained. They think they've already won. They're moving forward with Stellaris exactly as I originally conceived it. Nice, safe, predictable. I pulled up a trademark application on my phone and showed him. I filed for Phoenix Theorem yesterday. First piece of my plan. Marcus studied me with new interest. What did you do before this? Everything, I said. Digital marketing for a startup. Design courses at night. Freelance app UI consulting. Metalworking classes at the community center. I was building skills without knowing exactly what for. And now, I smiled. Now I know exactly what for. Let me show you the full vision. I opened my portfolio to reveal not just accessories, but an entire ecosystem, Pieces that connected through a dedicated app, items that transformed from jewelry to tech devices, designs that adapted to different contexts. Stellaris was just accessories. Phoenix Theorem is a platform, I explained. Each piece adds functionality to the others. The whole collection works together. 2 hours and 3 coffees later, Marcus was sketching circuit designs alongside my product concepts. It's ambitious, he admitted. Probably too ambitious. I know, I said. That's why we're going to start small with just one signature piece that demonstrates the concept. I pointed to a bracelet design. The Axiom. Sleek, attractive as pure jewelry, but transformable into a functional accessory with programmable display and customizable function. Marcus nodded slowly. If and it's a big if we can make this work, you realize your family's company will just copy it, right? They might try, I agreed. But they'll always be one step behind. Because I'm not just building products, I'm building patents. As if on cue, my phone lit up with an email notification. Asterisk, your appointment with patent attorney Diane Wu is confirmed for Thursday. Asterisk. Marcus raised an eyebrow. You've really thought this through. I've had to, I said simply. So are you in? He extended his hand. I'm in. But I want 18% equity, and it drops to 15% if we haven't got a functional prototype in 3 months. I shook his hand firmly. Deal. As Marcus left, I received another text from my mother. Asterisk, Vanessa's launch party for Stellaris is next Friday. Despite everything, you're still invited. Family should support family. Asterisk. I didn't reply, but I marked the date in my calendar. Not because I planned to attend, but because it gave me a deadline, a target for when Phoenix Theorem needed to take its first flight. No, absolutely not. The circuit board needs to be at least 30% smaller. I insisted, standing in what used to be my apartment living room but now resembled a chaotic tech workshop. For months had passed since my coffee with Marcus and our team had grown. Lena Torres, the electronics genius my professor had connected me with, was arguing with Marcus about power consumption versus size, while Zoe, who transitioned from supportive roommate to our unexpected marketing guru, was filming the entire exchange for what she called founder journey content. The thermal issues, Marcus began, can be solved with a different casing material, I finished. Remember the phase change compound we discussed? Our first prototype of the Axiom bracelet sat on the workbench, too bulky, too power-hungry, but fundamentally working. My dining table was covered with rejected designs and iterations. The door opened, and Ryan Kim, our newly acquired IP attorney who'd agreed to work for a small retainer plus equity, entered holding a stack of papers. Preliminary patent search results, he announced. Good news and better news. No direct competitors in the space combining these functionalities, and your trademark application for Phoenix Theorem is proceeding without opposition. What about Stellaris? I asked, unable to help myself. Ryan's expression told me everything before he spoke. They've filed for trademark protection. Their first line launches next week. I nodded, absorbing this. According to industry gossip, carefully monitored by Zoe, Stellaris had secured distribution deals with 3 major department store chains. Their LinkedIn page showed they'd hired a team of 12. Meanwhile, Phoenix Theorem consisted of 5 people crowded into my apartment, running on ramen noodles and determination. Where are we on the crowdfunding video? I asked Zoe. Ready to edit tonight. But we need the final prototype by Monday to include footage. I looked at the too bulky bracelet on the bench. We'll have it. Marcus and Lena exchanged glances. Lena said carefully, we're pushing material limitations here. Another 30% reduction might not be. Look, I interrupted, pulling up a folder on my laptop. These are the latest microcontroller specs from that supplier in Taiwan. If we switch to these and redesign the board layout. I'd been up until 3 a.m. researching components, learning just enough electrical engineering to be dangerous. As the team debated technical specifications, my phone lit up with a familiar name. My mother again. This time, I picked up. Emma, this silence has gone on long enough, she said without preamble. Vanessa's launch is tomorrow evening. The whole family will be there, including potential investors for phase 2. Your absence will be noticed. I stepped into my bedroom for privacy. I'm busy, Mom. Still sulking? It's been months. Stellaris is moving forward with or without your blessing. I looked around my bedroom, now functioning as our inventory storage, with boxes of components and materials stacked to the ceiling. I'm not sulking, I said calmly. I'm building. A pause. Building what exactly? For a moment, I was tempted to reveal everything to warn her that Phoenix Theorem would make Stellaris look obsolete before it even launched. But strategic thinking prevailed. My own path, I answered instead. Congratulate Vanessa for me. I hung up and rejoined the team who had reached a compromise on the circuit design. 2 days, I told them. We have 2 days to finalize this prototype. The crowdfunding campaign launches in 1 week. And if we don't make it? Marcus asked. I gestured to the whiteboard where our timeline was mapped out. Then we adjust. But we won't stop. That night, after everyone left, I sat alone with the prototype. It was still too clunky. The interface lagged. The battery drained too quickly. But it worked. When you pressed the hidden touch point, the elegant bracelet transformed, revealing a customizable display that could be programmed to show anything from notifications to health metrics. My phone buzzed with an Instagram notification. Vanessa had posted a sneak peek of the Stellaris launch collection. The designs were good, my designs essentially with minor refinements. Safe. Marketable. Exactly what I'd originally envisioned. But not what I was capable of now. I sent a group text to the team, 4 a.m. work session. Bringing coffee and donuts. We're redesigning the power management system tonight. Surprisingly, everyone agreed. By dawn, we had a solution. By the end of the week, we had a prototype worthy of our vision. The morning of Vanessa's launch party, I received a final text from my mother, asterisk, last chance, Emma. Be there or accept that you've chosen pride over family. Asterisk. I responded, for the first time in months, asterisk, it's not about pride, Mom. It's about principle. And I found mine. Asterisk. Then I turned my attention to our own launch. In 72 hours, Phoenix Theorem would reveal itself to the world. We hit 50% of our funding goal in 6 hours. Zoe exclaimed, refreshing the crowdfunding page for the 100th time that day. Our campaign for the Axiom bracelet had launched that morning, and the response was exceeding even our most optimistic projections. The video, showing the elegant bracelet transforming into a customizable smart device, had been shared over 2,000 times already. The tech blogs are picking it up, Ryan reported, scanning his phone. TechCrunch just tweeted about it. They're calling it jewelry that thinks. I should have been ecstatic, but I couldn't shake the knot of anxiety in my stomach. Success brought visibility, and visibility meant my family would soon discover what I'd been building in secret all these months. As if on cue, my phone rang, my sister's name lighting up the screen for the first time since our confrontation. Vanessa, I answered, keeping my voice neutral. Phoenix Theorem, she said immediately. That's you, isn't it? I just saw the campaign. I could hear the Stellaris launch party in the background, clinking glasses, ambient music, murmured conversations. Yes, I confirmed. Congratulations on your launch, by the way. A pause. This isn't what I expected from you, Emma. That was always the problem, I replied. None of you expected enough from me. These smart functions, the technical specifications, how did you? I built a team, I cut in. People who believed in my vision. Another voice came on the line, my mother. Emma? What is this Phoenix business? Some of our investors just showed me the video. I could picture her perfectly, champagne in hand, Armani suit, that crease between her eyebrows that appeared whenever her plans faced opposition. It's my company, Mom, I said simply. The one you didn't think I could build. These technology features, this isn't what you showed us at dinner that night. No, I agreed. Because I've grown. While you and Vanessa were executing my old idea, I was creating something new. I heard murmured conversation as they presumably watched more of the campaign video. Emma, my mother finally said, her voice uncharacteristically hesitant. We should talk. Perhaps there's room for collaboration between Phoenix Theorem and Stellaris. The irony wasn't lost on me. Now you want to collaborate? We're already established. We have distribution channels, manufacturing connections. You have innovation. It was the same calculation as before. They had the business acumen, I had creativity. Except now my creativity had market validation. Now they want it in. Our funding campaign will be fully funded by morning, I told her. We're fielding investor calls already. Don't be hasty, she warned. Launching a product is very different from running a company. Vanessa and I have the experience you lack. I looked around at my team, heads bent together over analytics reports, debating next steps with the passion of people who were all in on a shared vision. I've assembled the experience I need, I replied. But thanks for your concern. After hanging up, I rejoined the team celebration, but my mind was racing. My mother never conceded ground unless she had another angle. Her sudden interest in collaboration meant she saw Phoenix Theorem as either an opportunity or a threat. My suspicion was confirmed the next morning when Ryan burst into the office space we'd recently leased, a small but legitimate step up from my apartment. "Check your email now," he said urgently. "They're challenging our patent application." I scanned the legal document he'd forwarded. Stellaris, specifically Forrester Designs LLC, was claiming that Phoenix Theorem's technology was developed while I was conceptually associated with their company. "Can they do that?" I asked. Ryan ran a hand through his hair. "It's a stretch legally, but they're trying to establish that your initial Stellaris concept and Phoenix Theorem are connected intellectual property. But they're completely different approaches." "Which will prove," Ryan assured me. "But it will slow us down. They're trying to scare off our potential investors by creating uncertainty around our IP." He was right. By afternoon, 2 investor meetings had been postponed. Our crowdfunding campaign was still going strong with small backers, but the institutional money we needed for scaled production was getting skittish. I called an emergency team meeting. "They're playing the only card they have," I told everyone. "They can't compete with our technology, so they're attacking our ability to use it." "What's our countermove?" Lena asked. I smiled, surprising everyone. "We accelerate." "Ryan, how quickly can we file additional patents on the next generation features?" "The ones we haven't built yet," he clarified. "The ones we've designed but haven't prototyped," I corrected, pulling out my development roadmap. Phase 2 features. "If they want a patent fight, let's give them more patents to fight." Marcus leaned forward. "You want to expand when we're under attack?" "They're expecting us to retreat, to play defense," I explained. "So we'll do the opposite." "Zoe, how quickly can we produce a future vision video showcasing Phase 2 concepts? With renders and basic effects?" 3 days. "Do it," I said. "And everyone, silence your phones. My family will be calling with settlement offers disguised as concerned advice. Don't engage." Sure enough, by evening, my mother had called each team member separately. No one picked up. That night, I stayed late at the office reviewing legal documents and planning our response. My phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. Asterisk, "This is Daniel Park from Meridian Retail Group. That meeting you crashed 6 months ago? I'd like to have a proper conversation now. Your terms, your territory." Asterisk. The silver-haired executive from that fateful day. I saved his number but didn't respond immediately. First, we had to survive my mother's offensive. Then we would talk about Phoenix Theorem's future on my terms, not theirs. "They've filed for an injunction," Ryan announced, bursting into our strategy session 2 weeks later. "Stellaris is asking the court to prevent us from shipping any products until the IP matter is resolved." The room fell silent. We were days away from closing our $1 million crowdfunding campaign, with nearly 10,000 backers expecting delivery in 6 months. "Can they do that?" Marcus asked. Ryan grimaced. "They can try. Their argument is that allowing us to proceed could irreparably harm their business if the court eventually rules in their favor." "Which it won't," I said firmly, "because I have dated design notebooks and a trail of digital evidence showing Phoenix Theorem is entirely distinct from my original Stellaris concept." "Legal battles take time," Ryan cautioned. "And money we don't have in abundance." I paced the length of our small office. The past 2 weeks had been a whirlwind of progress for Phoenix Theorem. Our future vision video had gone viral in tech circles, attracting attention from potential manufacturing partners. 3 angel investors had made commitments despite the legal shadow. We'd finalized production specifications for the Axiom bracelet. And yet, one legal maneuver from my family could bring it all crashing down. "We need to understand their true objective," I said finally. "This isn't about protecting intellectual property. What does my mother actually want?" Zoe, who had been uncharacteristically quiet, spoke up. "She wants control. Or at least influence." I nodded slowly. "And she's willing to damage both companies to get it." My phone buzzed, Daniel Park from Meridian again. I put off responding to his message, focused on our campaign and the brewing legal battle. Now I wondered if he might represent a third path. "I have a call to make," I told the team. "Meanwhile, Ryan, prepare our response to the injunction. Everyone else, continue as planned. We're not slowing down production prep." In the privacy of my makeshift office, a converted storage closet, we were still bootstrapping. I called Daniel Park. "Miss Forrester," he answered promptly. I was beginning to think you weren't interested in Meridian's distribution channels. I've been preoccupied with family matters, I replied dryly. But I'm interested now. What exactly are you proposing? Meridian has been watching your progress with interest, he said. Your crowdfunding success suggests significant market demand for Phoenix Theorem. We're interested in an exclusive retail partnership. You're aware that Stellaris, run by my mother and sister, is taking legal action against us? I am, he confirmed. Which is partly why I'm calling. Meridian doesn't enjoy being caught in family disputes, but we do enjoy backing winners. Your technology is the clear innovation leader in this space. My mind raced with possibilities. What would this partnership entail? Exclusive brick-and-mortar distribution rights for the first year. Marketing support. And he paused meaningfully, potential investment capital to resolve your current obstacles. It was a lifeline, but one with strings attached. And what would you expect in return beyond exclusivity? A board seat. Input on product roadmap. The usual investor protections. In other words, influence, exactly what my mother wanted but couldn't get directly. I'll need to consult with my team, I said carefully, and review any term sheet with our counsel. Of course, Park agreed. But don't take too long. Injunctions have a way of spooking even the most committed backers. After the call, I sat in silence, turning over strategies in my mind. Then I did something unexpected. I called my sister's personal number. Emma. Vanessa sounded genuinely surprised. Are you calling to discuss settlement terms? No, I said. I'm calling to understand what you actually want from this fight. What Mom wants is... I'm asking what you want, Vanessa, I interrupted. Because I remember the sister who used to defend my weird ideas at family dinners. Who said my creativity was my superpower. A long pause. That was before we became competitors. We're not competitors, I said firmly. Stellaris and Phoenix Theorem target completely different markets with completely different products. Try telling Mom that, she muttered. I heard the frustration in her voice, a tone I recognize from my own childhood struggles with our mother's controlling nature. Are you happy with how Stellaris is developing? I asked directly. Another pause. It's going according to plan. That's not what I asked. Vanessa sighed. The department store buyers love it. It's selling well in the initial locations. But it's not exciting you, I finished. Because it's executing a safe plan perfectly rather than taking any real risks. We can't all build futuristic tech jewelry, Emma, she said defensively. Some of us have investors to answer to. Including Meridian? I asked carefully. How did you? She stopped. Daniel Park called you. He's offering Phoenix Theorem exclusive distribution and investment. Silence stretched between us, heavy with implications. Mom will see that as a betrayal, Vanessa finally said. Meridian was supposed to be Stellaris' next retail partner. The pieces clicked into place. My mother's aggressive legal strategy wasn't just about controlling me, it was about preventing Meridian from choosing Phoenix Theorem over Stellaris. What if there was another option? I suggested an idea forming rapidly. One where both companies benefit and neither has to compromise its vision? I'm listening, Vanessa said cautiously. 3 hours later, I called an emergency team meeting to outline what I was now calling the compromise that isn't. We're going to propose a structured partnership with Stellaris, I announced to my stunned team. But not the kind my mother is expecting. I outlined the framework. Phoenix Theorem and Stellaris would remain separate companies with separate leadership and separate product lines. But we would create a joint venture specifically for retail partnerships, allowing both brands to leverage relationships without competing directly. How does this solve our IP dispute? Ryan asked skeptically. Because the agreement will explicitly acknowledge that Phoenix Theorem's technology is proprietary and separate from Stellaris' designs, I explained. My mother gets what she really wants, access to our distribution channels and the appearance of family unity. We get legal certainty and accelerated market access. And Meridian? Marcus asked. Becomes the first retail partner of the joint venture, with both brands featured in their stores, but in different departments. Phoenix Theorem in electronics/tech, Stellaris in fashion accessories. The team debated vigorously. There were concerns about maintaining our independence, about working with people who had already demonstrated their willingness to play dirty. But ultimately, the strategic advantages outweighed the risks. That evening, I sent my mother a simple text. Asterisk. I have a proposal that benefits everyone. Meeting tomorrow, 10 a.m., neutral ground. The Four Seasons Hotel. Bring Vanessa and your attorney. I'll bring mine. Asterisk. Her response came quickly. Asterisk, we'll be there. I hope you're being reasonable. Asterisk. I smiled to myself. After months of being underestimated, I was about to show my mother exactly how reasonable and strategic I could be. 1 year later, I stood in the center of Phoenix Theorem's new headquarters, a renovated warehouse in Philadelphia's Spring Arts District, now filled with 30 employees, a state-of-the-art prototyping lab, and the energetic buzz of a company hitting its stride. They're ready for you in the conference room, my executive assistant announced. The quarterly joint venture meeting. I nodded, gathering my presentation materials. And the sales figures? Better than projected. Again. I smiled. Perfect. As I walked through our open office space, I caught fragments of conversations, engineers discussing battery optimization for our newest product, marketing team members reviewing social media metrics, our operations lead coordinating with manufacturing partners. Phoenix Theorem had not just survived, it had thrived. Our product line had expanded from the original Axiom bracelet to a full ecosystem of interconnected smart accessories, each more innovative than the last. Revenue had hit 8 figures. Last month, a major tech magazine had featured me on its cover under the headline, Fashion's Tech Revolutionary. I pushed open the conference room door to find the joint venture team, a mix of Phoenix Theorem and Stellaris employees, along with my sister Vanessa and, of course, my mother. Sorry I'm late, I said, taking my seat at the head of the table. Production meeting ran long. My mother nodded stiffly. Our relationship remained professional but distant, a necessary compromise for the business partnership that had ultimately benefited both companies. Let's start with distribution updates, I suggested. Meridian's exclusivity period ends next month, and we'll need to decide on expansion strategy. As the team launched into reports and projections, I caught Vanessa's eye across the table. Unlike my relationship with our mother, my sister and I had gradually rebuilt a tentative personal connection alongside our business one. Stellaris had carved out its niche in high-end fashion accessories, while Phoenix Theorem had established itself as a tech innovation leader. The joint venture, formerly branded as Forrester Retail Partners, had secured distribution in over 200 locations nationwide. Before we continue, my mother interrupted, I'd like to address the acquisition offer. The room fell silent. 3 weeks earlier, a major tech conglomerate had approached Phoenix Theorem with a 9-figure acquisition offer. They weren't interested in Stellaris, just my company and its growing patent portfolio. As I've already communicated, I said calmly, Phoenix Theorem is not for sale. My mother frowned. The offer represents a significant premium over valuation. Your investors must be pressuring you to consider it. I smiled. One of the many things my mother had never fully understood was how carefully I'd structured Phoenix Theorem's funding. Unlike Stellaris, which had taken traditional venture capital with aggressive growth expectations, I'd opted for strategic angels and revenue-based financing that preserved my control. My investors trust my vision, I said simply. And my vision extends well beyond what we've built so far. I opened my presentation to reveal Phoenix Theorem's next-generation product lineup, accessories that did more than display information or control other devices. These pieces incorporated advanced biometric sensing, adaptive materials, and predictive AI capabilities that would position Phoenix Theorem at the intersection of fashion, technology, and wellness. This is what we're building toward, I explained. Not just smart jewelry, but an ecosystem that anticipates and responds to the wearer's needs. I could see the calculations happening behind my mother's carefully composed expression. The acquisition offer, substantial as it was, paled in comparison to what Phoenix Theorem could become in the next few years. Vanessa leaned forward. The R&D costs for this roadmap must be enormous. They are, I acknowledged. Which is why we're exploring strategic partnerships rather than acquisition. Partners who can contribute expertise without demanding control. My mother's lips thinned slightly at the implied critique. I assume you've already identified these potential partners? 3 signed NDAs last week, I confirmed. 2 more in discussions. The meeting continued, covering distribution metrics, marketing coordination between the brands, and upcoming retail opportunities. Throughout, I couldn't help but reflect on how radically my life had transformed in just 18 months. The woman who had once trembled with rage in a conference room, watching her stolen idea being pitched, now commanded respect in boardrooms across the industry. The creative but unfocused daughter had built a company valued at 9 figures. The side hustle that my family had dismissed as another of my passing interests had evolved into an innovation leader with 16 patents and counting. As the meeting concluded, my mother lingered while others filed out. The joint venture has been more successful than I anticipated, she admitted, arranging her designer bag on her shoulder, a Stellaris accessory, I noted. It has, I agreed. Turns out we're stronger separately than we would have been together. Her expression softened almost imperceptibly. Your father would be proud of what you've built. The unexpected reference to my late father, the original entrepreneur in our family, who had always encouraged my creative explorations, caught me off guard. He would be proud of both his daughters, I said after a moment. And the companies they've created. My mother nodded, then hesitated. Dinner next Sunday? Just family, no business talk. It was an olive branch, small, tentative, but real. I'll bring dessert, I agreed. After she left, I stood alone in the conference room, looking out over the city where I'd rebuilt myself from betrayed daughter to successful founder. On my wrist, I wore the latest iteration of the Axiom bracelet, sleeker, more powerful, and more elegant than the prototype we'd scrambled to finish in my apartment a year ago. Phoenix Theorem hadn't just been about proving my family wrong. It had been about proving myself right, about my capabilities, my vision, and my ability to execute when given the chance to fly on my own terms. My phone buzzed with a notification from our company messaging system. The engineering team had achieved a breakthrough on our next-generation power management system. Another small victory in a string of many. As I headed to celebrate with my team, I remembered something my father used to say. Success isn't about who gives you permission. It's about who can stop you once you decide to begin. No one had given me permission to build Phoenix Theorem. But more importantly, when my mother and sister had tried to clip my wings, they'd inadvertently taught me how to soar. The end.